I never thought I'd be the one to tell this story. The one about how a single mistake can turn your entire life upside down. But here I am, and I need you to listen carefully, because what happened to me could happen to anyone, even you.
Officer, I swear I didn't do it. I was just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
That's what I told them when they found me, standing over her body, covered in blood that wasn't mine. But let me start from the beginning. 3 weeks ago, I was just a normal guy with a normal life. I worked at a small accounting firm downtown. Nothing exciting, just numbers and spreadsheets day in and day out. My apartment was modest but comfortable. I had a few friends, though no one I was particularly close to. I kept to myself mostly. That's probably why no one noticed when things started to change. It began with the new neighbor who moved in across the hall, apartment 4B. I first saw her on a Tuesday evening when I was coming home from work.
Oh, hi there, I just moved in. I'm in 4B.
She was beautiful in that effortless way. Long dark hair, bright eyes that seemed to look right through you. Her smile was warm, inviting. I felt myself smiling back before I even realized it.
Nice to meet you. I'm in 4A. Let me know if you need anything.
I remember thinking how ordinary that interaction was. How could I have known it was the beginning of everything falling apart? Over the next few days, we ran into each other in the hallway a few times. Small talk, nothing more. But there was something about her that drew me in. Maybe it was the way she always seemed slightly on edge, like she was running from something. Or maybe it was just my imagination. Either way, I found myself thinking about her more than I should have. One night, about a week after she moved in, I heard shouting from her apartment. A man's voice, angry and threatening. I couldn't make out the words, but the tone was unmistakable. Then I heard something crash against the wall. I stood in my apartment, frozen, unsure what to do. Should I call the police? Go over there myself? In the end, I did nothing. The shouting stopped, and I convinced myself it was none of my business. That was my first mistake. The next morning, I saw her in the hallway. There was a bruise on her cheek that she'd tried to cover with makeup.
Are you okay? I heard some noise last night.
Oh, that. It was nothing. Just had a friend over and we got into a stupid argument. Sorry if we disturbed you.
She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. I knew she was lying, but I didn't push it. That was my second mistake. A few days later, she knocked on my door. It was late, almost midnight.
I'm sorry to bother you so late, but could I use your phone? Mine's dead and I need to make an important call.
She looked nervous, constantly glancing back at her apartment door. I let her in without hesitation.
Of course, the phone's in the kitchen.
While she made her call, I tried not to eavesdrop, but I couldn't help overhearing bits and pieces.
I told you I need more time. No, you don't understand. Please, just a few more days. I'll have it, I promise.
When she hung up, her hands were shaking.
Thank you, I really appreciate it.
No problem. Is everything all right?
It will be. I just need to sort some things out.
She left quickly after that. I stood at my door for a long time, staring at her apartment across the hall. Something wasn't right, but I still didn't want to get involved. That was my third mistake. The next day, I came home from work to find a man pounding on her door. Tall, well-dressed, but with a coldness to him that made me uneasy.
I know you're in there. Open the door.
He turned when he heard me coming up the stairs.
Hey, you live here? Have you seen the woman who lives in this apartment?
There was something in his eyes that made me lie.
No, sorry. I think she might be out of town. Haven't seen her in a few days.
He studied me for a moment, like he was trying to decide if I was telling the truth.
If you see her, tell her I stopped by. Tell her I'm not going to wait much longer.
He pushed past me and headed down the stairs. I waited until I heard the building door close before I knocked on her door.
He's gone. You can come out now.
The door opened just a crack.
Thank you. He's not a good person.
Who is he?
Someone I owe something to, something I can't give him.
She wouldn't say more than that. But that night she invited me over for dinner. As a thank you, she said. I should have said no. That was my fourth mistake. Her apartment was sparsely furnished, like she hadn't fully moved in yet, or like she was ready to leave at a moment's notice.
I don't really cook much, so I hope takeout is okay.
We ate Chinese food straight from the containers and drank cheap wine from mismatched glasses. She told me she'd moved to the city for a fresh start. That she had left behind a complicated situation. She didn't elaborate, and I didn't ask. We were both keeping our secrets. As the night went on and the wine flowed, she moved closer to me on the couch. I could smell her perfume, something floral and sweet. When she kissed me, I didn't stop her. That was my fifth mistake. I woke up the next morning in her bed. She was already up, sitting by the window, staring out at the street below.
He's back, parked across the street.
I got up and looked. The man from yesterday was sitting in a black car, watching the building.
Maybe we should call the police.
No police. That would only make things worse.
She turned to me, her eyes desperate.
I need your help. I need to get out of here, but he's watching, he'll follow me.
What exactly is going on? Who is this guy?
The less you know, the better. Please just help me. I wouldn't ask if I had any other choice.
I should have walked away then, but there was something about her, something that made me want to protect her. That was my sixth mistake.
What do you need me to do?
The plan was simple. I would create a distraction while she slipped out the back of the building. I would meet her later at a motel on the edge of town. She gave me the address, made me memorize it.
Don't write it down. Don't tell anyone where you're going, and make sure you're not followed.
It all seemed so dramatic, but I went along with it. I left her apartment and walked straight up to the man's car. I knocked on his window.
Hey, are you looking for the woman in 4B?
What's it to you?
I just saw her leaving. She had a suitcase, looked like she was heading to the bus station.
He stared at me for a long moment, then started his car.
If you're lying to me, I'll be back. And you won't like what happens.
He drove off, tires screeching. I waited a few minutes, then texted her that the coast was clear. By the time I got back to the building, she was gone. I went to work, counting the hours until I could leave and meet her at the motel. When I finally arrived at the motel, it was already dark. Room 17, just like she'd said. I knocked softly.
It's me.
No answer. I knocked again, louder this time. Still nothing. The door was unlocked, so I pushed it open. The room was dark. I fumbled for the light switch. When the light came on, I saw her. Lying on the bed, eyes open but unseeing. There was blood everywhere, so much blood. I rushed to her side, checked for a pulse, even though I knew it was too late. That's when I heard the bathroom door open behind me.
I told you I'd be back if you were lying.
I turned to see him standing there, a knife in his hand. The same knife that had killed her, I assumed. It was still dripping with her blood.
I didn't lie. She was leaving.
Yeah, leaving with something that belongs to me, something very valuable.
He moved closer, the knife held casually, like it was an extension of his arm.
The funny thing is, she didn't have it, so now I'm thinking maybe she gave it to you.
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, then why are you here? Why did you help her?
I had no answer for that. Why had I helped her, a woman I barely knew who was clearly in some kind of trouble? What had I been thinking? He lunged at me suddenly, the knife slashing through the air. I jumped back, but not fast enough. The blade caught my arm, cutting through my jacket and into my skin. I cried out in pain.
Tell me where it is and maybe I'll let you live.
I had no idea what he was looking for, but I knew I needed to get out of there. I grabbed the lamp from the bedside table and threw it at him. It hit him in the face, giving me just enough time to run for the door. But he was faster than I expected. He caught me before I could get out, slamming me against the wall. The knife was at my throat now.
Last chance. Where is it?
I was about to tell him again that I didn't know what he was talking about when we heard sirens. Someone must have heard the commotion and called the police. He hesitated, the knife still at my throat.
This isn't over.
He slipped the knife into his pocket and was gone before I could catch my breath. I stood there, frozen, as the sirens got closer. I looked back at her body on the bed. I knew how this would look. Me, in a motel room with a dead woman, blood on my clothes from where he'd cut me, no sign of the real killer. I should have stayed. I should have told the police everything. But I panicked. I ran. That was my 7th and final mistake. Yeah, I didn't get far. They found me a few blocks away, still covered in blood, still in shock. They took me in, questioned me for hours. I told them everything, but I could see they didn't believe me. Why would they? It sounded crazy even to me.
There was a man, he killed her, he was looking for something she had taken from him.
They searched my apartment, her apartment, the motel room. They found no evidence of this man, no fingerprints except mine and hers. The motel clerk remembered me checking in, but no one else. The security cameras had been disabled by me, they assumed. They found the murder weapon in a dumpster near the motel. My fingerprints were on it. I must have touched it during the struggle. But try explaining that to the police. The worst part? They found what he had been looking for. A flash drive, hidden in the lining of my jacket. I had no idea how it got there. She must have slipped it in when we hugged goodbye. Another setup in a long line of setups. The flash drive contained information about offshore accounts, money laundering, names of people involved in a major criminal organization. The man, they eventually determined, was a hitman sent to retrieve it and eliminate her. She had been an accountant for the organization, had stolen the information as insurance, but when they came after her anyway, she needed a fall guy. That's where I came in. So here I am, waiting for my trial. My lawyer says it doesn't look good. All the evidence points to me. No one believes my story about the mysterious hitman. Why would they? It sounds like something out of a movie. The irony is, they never caught him. He's still out there, probably already onto his next job, and I'm here, taking the fall, for a murder I didn't commit. So how do you get caught in a murder? It's simple. You trust the wrong person. You make one small decision that leads to another and another until suddenly you're standing in a motel room with a dead body and no way to prove your innocence. I think about her sometimes. Wonder if she knew what would happen to me, if she cared. Or if I was just a convenient patsy, someone gullible enough to help her without asking too many questions. They say my trial starts next month. My lawyer wants me to plead guilty, take a deal, 20 years instead of life. But I can't do that. I didn't kill her. I made a lot of mistakes, but I'm not a murderer. So I'll take my chances with the jury, tell them my story and hope that someone, anyone, believes me, because the truth has to count for something, doesn't it? But as I sit here in my cell, night after night, I can't help but wonder, what if no one ever believes me? What if this is how my story ends? Not with a bang, but with the quiet click of a cell door closing behind me for the last time. So let my story be a warning. Be careful who you trust. Be careful what doors you open, because you never know when you might find yourself caught in someone else's murder.